Conducting negotiations. First of all, before starting to see how we are able to conduct a negotiation and everything that it is involved, we first have to go to the dictionary. So, negotiation, according to Cambridge Dictionary, it means the process of discussing something. It doesn't say on a specific matter, it just says something with someone in order to reach an agreement with them. In this case, could be one person or multiple or more people, or the discussions themselves. That is according to Cambridge Dictionary. On the other hand, we have Oxford Dictionary that it says that a negotiation it is a discussion aimed at reaching an agreement. So first we have that it is the process of discussing something to reach an agreement, and on the other hand we have the same. It means that it is a discussion aimed, so we are looking forward to reach an agreement. So now we know what it is a negotiation. So now we're gonna see how we prepare ourselves for a negotiation. There are some tips. In this case, you have to prepare yourself. You have to know which are your skills as a person. Do I know as a negotiator? Am I really hard? Am I really soft? I have to know who I am first. Then I have to know the goals. Which are the goals that I want to achieve for my negotiation? For example, if I'm gonna go to do a negotiation about a company that sells, let's say, that I'm gonna sell pens. So in this case, if I'm gonna sell pens, I need some goals about my meeting. So maybe how many pens will I want to sell? Or maybe I don't want to sell any pens right now. I just want to let the other person know which is my company and how my company is, and there is a good quality of my product. So I have to know what exactly I want to achieve with my negotiation. And then the time. I have to know how much time I have for a negotiation so I can prepare myself and I can know that I have only 20 minutes to talk. So I'm gonna divide the time that I'm gonna be negotiating into 20 minutes so I don't extend over those 20 minutes. Then you have to set an agenda. This is linked to time. In this case, I have to make an agenda, maybe grab a piece of paper and a pen and start writing. For example, from 8 to 8:05 a.m., I'm gonna introduce myself, introduce my company. Then from 8:05 to 8:15, for example, I'm gonna talk about the product. I'm gonna talk about the quality of my product, the prices. So I have to set an agenda that I can follow. Then another tip that you can do in order to prepare for a negotiation, it is to know the field of interest. In this case, to know to have knowledge and the limits. For example, if I'm gonna go to sell pens, I have to know about the pens, right? I have to if I know that I have limits, for example, maybe I don't know the composition, maybe let's say the chemical composition of what is inside a pen, that's my limitation. But maybe if I know that a person that I'm going to talk to needs to know that information, maybe I can prepare myself. And if I am not able to prepare myself for that because it is not my field of interest or my field of knowledge, I can bring someone else with me to help me with that. So then we have to know about the counterpart. In this case, what it means about the counterpart. It means to ask, thank you, to ask, research, and meet before a person. For example, if I know that I'm going to be selling, to have a negotiation with I don't know, let's say Jose Perez, in that it is from China, I have to know who is Jose Perez. So I have to call the company. In this case, maybe it is my client or maybe my supplier. So I have to call them and ask them, who am I going to be in negotiation with? So what is his name? So in this case, some tips that I can tell you how you can ask and do a research are following. Let's say in here, you have to ask for the complete name. In this case, you must be sure to have the completed name as possible. If you talk to people in China, they don't have like we usually have two names, a first name, a middle name, and two last names, right? For example, my name is Liliana, my first name, then my middle name is Giselle, and my two last names are Kipusco Chicata. So in this case, I have to ask the complete information. So, what are information you can ask? You can ask for the job title. Usually, when you ask for a personal business card, there is the second one. You can have the job title. For example, the same. It says Lincoln Yao, and he's the extraction and recycle marketing manager. So he's the manager of marketing. And on the other hand, we have here James, that it says that he is the sales manager. So maybe we can have we can ask for the name, the complete name, the job title. We ask them for the personal business card. So maybe we can then go into Google, search on the web, that is the second one, and we can make sure if in the company's web page it says that he, in this case James, it is the sales manager. So we are sure that they are giving us the right information. Why? Because there are some persons that you are going to be in negotiation with that they know that you're preparing and they don't want you to be prepared because they will want to sell you at the highest price or to buy from you at the lowest price. So maybe they can give you mixed or wrong information. So you have to make sure. On the other hand, what other information you can search on the web? You can search for religion. For example, there is a very kind of funny experience that I had. When I was just starting working, I used to work on a logistic operator. In this case, I didn't make any research about the person that we were talking to. In this case, this guy was from India. Okay, so we didn't know his religion. So when the people that was negotiation that was in the negotiation meeting, it was a negotiation via Skype. So it was okay, everything was going great. But as soon as I entered the room, the guy from India started talking, and he didn't want to talk anymore, and we didn't knew why, right? Why he stopped talking. And then my manager said, I remember he is in India, but his religion, his background, it is not from India. He's Arab. So as his background from Arab, he didn't like to talk to women. So that's why he stopped talking to in the meeting, in the negotiation. He just stopped because I was a woman and he wasn't comfortable talking to a woman. So those kind of little things are really important to in order to know which is the person that we are going to talk about or that we're going to talk to in this case. Another example it is places of interest. For example, this is according if you're going to meet. If you are able to meet with this person, the person that you're going to be doing the negotiation with before you do the negotiation, it is great. So you can learn about it in the web. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on LinkedIn. Which places he likes. Maybe he likes, I don't know, let's say he's from China or he's from Japan and he likes to go to eat sushi. So maybe you can take him to eat sushi, but not just Japanese sushi, but maybe a mix of Peruvian cuisine with Japanese cuisine made of sushi, right? For example, the makis acevichados. These are a combination between both cultures. So maybe you can take him to eat a day or a couple of days before, so you can interact with this person and just not only know how he talks or if he's nice, but also to create a relationship with this person, so he's not going to be so hard on you when you go to talk to him. Okay. Then places of residence. In this case, hobbies, it is also according to meet before with the person. Then places of residence. This is important. As I say in the first, in the example that I gave you about this guy that was from India, but he was Arab and he didn't like to talk to women. It is the same. We knew that he was working in this company in India, but we didn't knew, or my manager didn't remember that he had an Arab religion, and also that his main place of residence was in the Arab region. So this is important. And then you can learn, you can ask, or you can search also about education. Why? Because if you know that you're going to be talking to a person that not only has been educated in his own country, but he has gone abroad to study, you're going to know that he's more open minded. In this case, the guy that I'm telling you that didn't like to talk to women, he just studied in the same Arab region. So that is one extra detail that can give you more information about the person that you're going to talk to. I'm sorry. And finally, the final question, the final tip that I can give you about asking and knowing about the counterpart, it is to ask previous negotiations. If you know maybe that maybe my competition, the other company that is my competitor, has previously negotiated with this person, maybe you can ask him. Let go to approach to them and ask them how was he? Was he hard? Was he nice? Was he soft? So you can know a little more about your counterpart beforehand. Okay. Then we're going to talk about companies' policies. In this case, which is the company's policies? What exactly do I mean by this? When we are selling products, let me tell you again about the plastic example. We were making a negotiation with this plastic company, but we didn't know that our client had a company policy of not selling or maybe not closing an order in a negotiation. So it was their company policy. It was just a get together in order to know each other. But they weren't going to tell you, okay, so I like your product, I'm going to buy you 1,000 units, for example, let's say. So that is important to know beforehand. So in this case, our goals just fail. They drop because we had in mind that we knew our skills, we knew the time, we were prepared. Our goal was to sell 1,000 units, but once we get there to the negotiation, we just crash against a wall because the company's policy from our client was to not to make any kind of orders. Their goals were just to go there and meet each other. So we have to ask, we have to do research beforehand, which are a company's policies for a negotiation to our supplier or to our client. Okay? Then the power to make decisions. For example, let's say that we are going to get together with a supplier again of pens. With a supplier, no, let's say a client of pens. So we're going to sell our client pens. We have to know if the person that we are talking to have the power to make a decision to buy and how many units he can buy. So maybe he is able just to buy 1,000 units, but maybe our goal was to buy, let's say, 10,000 units. So in this case, the company policies, it is okay to close an order, but the power of making decisions of this person that we are talking to, it is not up to our goal. You understand? So in this case, we have to, again, do our research beforehand. Then we have to know the company's interests. In this case, is the company interested in buying from us? Are they interested to just ask for prices in order to get a discount for his regular supplier? Or he's just looking around to check if maybe he finds something better, but if he doesn't find something that is so much better from his actual product, he's not going to buy. So we have to know what's the company interested, so we don't waste time. Maybe we don't have time to lose just for people that are checking the place around. So we have to know which is the company's interest in order to see and to analyze if we are going to be able to make a negotiation, or if it is just a waste of time for us. Okay? Then we have to know about the incentives. In this case, it doesn't mean to give money to someone, because usually when you talk to people about incentives, and especially in Peru, they think that you are talking about, for example, let's say you are talking to the buyer from you are the supplier of pens, and you're talking to a buyer, and when you say incentives, they think that you are just talking about how much money you're going to give the buyer from the other company, so he makes an order and he gets a piece of the of a piece of maybe I can say to him, if you buy me 1,000 units, I'm gonna give you $100. So I'm not talking about those kind of incentives, okay? In this case, by incentives, it means which is the company interested about, or the person that we're talking to, the other negotiator. In this case, incentives means maybe to save money. In this case, maybe to give a discount. Another thing, it could mean to get a product of better quality. So maybe we can tell him this product is of a better quality to the ones that you have right now, the one that you're buying right now. So there is another incentive. Then another one is fast shipping. Why? Because when you talk to people, especially if you buy or sell international, they're going to tend to take a long time to to um, to produce the product, to manufacture it. I don't know if you have ever buy from China. Have you ever buy from China? ¿Alguna vez has comprado de China? So if you have ever bought from China, um, they usually tend to, once you make the order, they produce the product. I don't know if you have noticed that. So for example, you have, okay, perfect. So usually when you send the order and you say, hey, I want, let's say, this happened to me when I was buying a machine. It was a machine that it was related to this plastic product that I told you before, the injection machine. So in this case, the company, my client, that it was a Peruvian importer, was interested in buying an injection machine in order to make his plastic products. So in this case, he asked this guy and he said, hey, I want one machine. I'm going to buy you one machine. So in his mind, he thought that he was going to ask for it and they were going to tell him, okay, so in 1 week we're going to be shipping it to Peru, right? But in this case, it was not the place, because their time for manufacturing the machine was 60 days. So 60 days, it is 2 months, and it was too much for him. And as you say, Juan Carlos, they take too much time. So maybe this is an incentive for you as a seller to tell the other company, I have stock, so I'm going to give you a fast shipping. As soon as you put the order, maybe if you ask me less than 10,000 units, I'm going to be able to ship it the next day. So that's another kind of incentive. Okay? And finally, to prepare for a negotiation, it is to talk about past negotiations. In this case, if you know another company that had negotiated before with this company that you're going to talk to, ask them. And not just another company. Maybe if in your own company they have talked to your supplier or your client previously, maybe not you, but maybe your boss or your partner, you can ask them and ask questions and ask how are they hard, are they soft, so you can get an idea how it's it gonna be. Okay, so then what are the tips for negotiation? In this case, if you're going to have a negotiation the next day, it is better to have a good night of sleep. So if you know that you're going to have a negotiation, let's say in Miraflores at 10 a.m., but you live in Los Olivos, you have to know how much time you're going to take from Los Olivos to Miraflores. So maybe if you have, let's say, if you go in Metropolitano, if you go on a cab, on a taxi, you're going to take maybe an hour and a half. So in this case, you will have to go to bed the night before early so you can wake up the next day early in order to prepare yourself, to get yourself ready, and to have plenty of time to grab a cab or to grab your public transportation in order to be on time on the place. Okay? Then, so what is another tip? Another tip it is to eat properly. Why do I say this? Because sometimes when we have a negotiation to me, I'm going to answer you once I finish this first part. So eat properly. Why do I mean by this? If you're going to have a negotiation maybe at 9 a.m., it is better if you take a light breakfast, a little breakfast before you go, because maybe the negotiation is going to take for an hour. So you're going to be from 9 to 10, and you're going to be on the middle of a negotiation, and your stomach is going to be making sounds. It's going to be, I don't know if that had happened to you. You're going to be starving, right? And it usually happens to me because I myself I get ready and everything, but I tend to forget to eat the breakfast, and I just said I'm going to drink water and my stomach is going to calm down, but it is not. So it is a good tip to eat properly before you go to a negotiation. It is good to, as I'm telling you, to eat a little breakfast, because if you eat too much, you're going to be maybe wanting to go to the bathroom. If you drink too much, you're going to be, your stomach, your body is going to want to go to the bathroom. So in this case, you're going to be cutting the negotiation, and to cut the negotiation in the middle is the worst part you can, or the worst thing you can make, right? Then you have to avoid stress situations. For example, let's say if I know that maybe I have a really, really, really um, bad, or maybe stress, or maybe a noisy, or maybe just how can I say it? If I know that I have a boyfriend that likes to fight, and that maybe he's jealous, well, the best option it is to break up with the person, right? But if I know that the person that I have with me as a partner likes to fight, for example, let's say, I have to avoid this stress situation. So if I know that he likes to fight because he knows that I'm going to be making a negotiation with another man, I'm not going to call him before my negotiation, because he's going to take my mind off focus, right? So we have to avoid those kind of stress situations, okay? Then get ready the night before. This means if I know that tomorrow I have a negotiation at 9 a.m., today at 7 p.m., I'm going to be looking on my wardrobe, or maybe if I'm abroad and I have my suitcase, I'm going to be checking which clothes am I gonna use. Maybe if I'm going to use Let's say this kind of clothes, do they have to be ironed? Tienen que ser planchadas. So I'm gonna ask my hotel, can you send me an iron for my clothes? Or maybe if I'm gonna be in my house, if I'm on my own country, if I'm in Peru and I'm going to be wearing this kind of clothes that need iron, maybe to do it early, to iron the clothes early, or maybe to ask my wife or my boyfriend, if you're lucky enough, to get your clothes ready, right? Then documents. If you know that you will have to bring some documents, maybe some contracts, get them ready the night before, so you don't have problems at the last time. Another one is notes. For example, if you will have to bring notes because there are some special maybe terms or maybe specific information that you are not related to, as we spoke previously, I was telling you about the glass covers. Maybe if there is some information about the glass covers that I don't know, or maybe that I know, but I have to keep looking and keep reading because it doesn't get into my head, maybe the different kinds of plastic that I have to sell. Just bring the notes and prepare them a night before. And finally, the visualization. It means by this just the PowerPoint PowerPoint presentations that you were going to bring. Prepare them before, check them, check if you're going to be having images, if the images look right, if you're going to present a video, if the video is linked into your PowerPoint presentation and linked to your USB, so you don't have any kind of problems at the last minute. Okay? Then get enough time to get ready in the morning. As I told you, if you know that you're going to be going, let's say from Los Olivos to Miraflores, you know that it's going to be maybe a 1 hour or 2 hour drive or 2 hour commute. So in this case, you know that you maybe take 30 minutes to get ready. Use a 15 extra minutes just in case, right? So you already an hour, so you have to wake up at least 3 hours before 9, right? If you know that you are the kind of people that takes too much time to get ready, maybe a lady or maybe a gentleman that takes more than 2 hours, well, go to sleep earlier because you will have to wake up like 4 hours before your meeting, right? So we have to know about the times and how much time we take to get ready. This is especially for the ladies because maybe the ladies get their hair done or something, so they will have to have plenty of time. Especially, for example, I'm curly, as you can see. So if I want to be straight, have a straight hair, I will have to go to look for the hair iron and all the stuff in order to get it straight. So this kind of hair doesn't get straight in just half an hour. It takes at least 2 hours. So I'm gonna have to get I'm gonna have to wake up maybe 5 hours before because it's going to be 2 hours for my hair, 1 hour for me to get ready, and 2 hours for my commute, right? So prepare yourself. I don't think that usually for guys they don't take too much time, but especially for girls they do take plenty of time, especially if they get their hair done because it is a lot of work. Yes, usually girls take too much time to get ready. Yes, that's right. We like to look pretty. So then, make sure all your team has everything they need to get ready. This means if you're not going to be the only person that is going to make a negotiation, but you're going to be going with a team, and especially if you are the team leader, you have to make sure the night before that they have everything they need. You have to know that they are going to have a good night of sleep, so maybe you can call them and tell them, hey, go to sleep right now, please. You have to make sure that they eat properly, so maybe you know that you're going to get together with them before going to the meeting, so you know that they didn't have the time to eat a breakfast. Maybe you can bring granola bars so you can all eat a little thing before going into the meeting. you have to let them know and talk to them. Hey, try to avoid your stress situations. Maybe if you have, like I told you, your boyfriend or your girlfriend that likes to fight, maybe tell them, hey, maybe you're not, don't call her 1 hour before because you know she likes to. So you don't have any stress situation. So you try to explain as nice and friendly as possible for they to understand, right? And also, it applies to get their things ready the night before. Make sure they get their clothes, their documents, their notes if they're going to be having presentation, PowerPoint presentation to get them ready. If you're going to give away maybe some, let's say, I don't know if you have seen. I don't have any right now. I lost them, but you give free samples sometimes when you are going to go to a meeting so the person can look at the product before they buy. So if there is one person of your team that is in charge to bring the samples, maybe you can call him or maybe send him a text message and let him know or her know or ask him or her, hey, do you have the sample that you are in charge to bring? So they are going to say you to tell to you, yes, I have it, no, I haven't. So we are able to say, hey, get them ready now because it is for tomorrow, right? Then, what you have to do during a negotiation? In this case, before you go into negotiation, you have to make sure that everyone is ready. Everyone is in their peace of mind, focus on getting the goals that you will have to accomplish. Then you have to sit close to your or next, if possible, to your key people in order for consultations. For example, if I know that I'm going to be making a negotiation about this again the cover glass plastic products, I know that I don't know engineering information, so maybe I can sit next to my engineer. Or another example is if I'm going to be making negotiations with people that doesn't speak Spanish, maybe they speak English, or maybe they speak Chinese or they speak Japanese. If I don't know the language and I'm going to be using a translator, I have to make sure, if I'm the team leader, I have to make sure to sit next or as close as possible to my translator. Okay, so I can just have a consultation like in a really soft and quiet place as possible. Then avoid conflict. This means try not to fight when you're doing a negotiation. Especially, I have seen a lot of Peruvians that they get like really, they light the they light the fire on the place. So they like to be really loud and they tend to be really expressive and they like to raise their hands and shout. So it can be a sign of conflict for people from other cultures. So in this case, try to avoid the conflict because it is not going to take you anywhere. It is going to set back the negotiation. Then sit according to your needs. This means that if you know that you will have to pick up some phone calls because those are important business phone calls. If you know that you are going to be standing up and going out the negotiation room, you try to sit according to your needs. So it means you will have to try to sit as close to the door. If you know that you're going to be bringing text messages, try not to do it, but if you have to, sit according and maybe just try to sit when no one sees you, so you can be like texting, be um, so texting like hiding yourself in the table so they don't see you and they don't see it as a disrespect. Okay, so then another tip that you can do during a negotiation, it is to avoid an uncomfortable environment. What I mean by this, it means maybe if you feel uncomfortable with hot places, or maybe you feel uncomfortable when there's the air conditioning is too high and it is really really cold. Maybe if you have a view, and this is usually what sometimes what happens. I don't know if you have ever gone to a negotiation that the person of the that we are in their office sits giving the back to the view, to the window, and they sit you looking to the window, and behind there's a beautiful view. So you're going to get distracted. So if you know that you are not comfortable and you're not focused because you have a view in front of you, that is another uncomfortable environment. And finally, light. Maybe if there is too much light, and these are kind of things that some companies that doesn't like to play fair do. They put like really hard the light, or really high the hot, or really high the air conditioning, so the place feels cold, in order to make us uncomfortable. It is not usually, but sometimes happens. So in this case, if this happens and you are uncomfortable, try to avoid it. How can you avoid it? You can ask. You can say, as you can see here, you can say, "Excuse me, can we please continue the negotiation in another room because I don't feel comfortable. I think there is too much light, or I think it is too cold in here." So they can tell you, "Don't worry, we're going to turn the air conditioner down." Or maybe they can tell you, "Yes, there is no problem. We can go to another room." So it is okay to ask. Then, as long as you ask really polite, there is not going to be a problem. Then, never, never, ever forget your goals. You have prepared them. You have prepared your goals the day before. So while you're on the meeting, don't forget your goals. Try to stick to your agenda. In this case, the last one, it is to stick to your agenda. So you will have your goals in your agenda. So you're going to be mentally, or maybe if you have a pen and you have your agenda printed, you're going to be doing some checks with the goals that you have accomplished. Okay? Then another tips that you can do during the negotiation, it is that if you are off the topic, and it really happens a lot when you have a really good chemistry with your counterpart, try to redirect. In this case, you can say, "Excuse me, can we please talk about the prices that we were talking previously?" Or maybe you can say, "Excuse me, can we please get back to the shipping, the time of shipping, the shipping time, shipping lead that we were talking?" So it usually happens, as I was telling you, when you have really good chemistry with the other person, with your counterpart, you maybe start talking, and it happens sometimes to me because I'm really talkative and I like to talk to. I get along really good with Chinese people because I studied a little bit of Chinese. So when I tend to talk to Chinese people, they ask me, I don't know why, but this is something that is not in the topic of in the negotiation class, but they say that I don't look Peruvian. Myself, I really think that I look Peruvian, but they tell me that I don't look Peruvian because I look like a little, I don't know how you can say this, but my eyes are a little kind of Chinese, they say, like halal, as you can say maybe in Spanish. So they start to talk to me, "Have you ever gone to China?" "No, I haven't, but I have studied." So we start to going off the topic, and because it is something that I really like to talk about cultures and places, it gets messy because we lose time talking about things that are not on our agenda. So in this case, I have to be focused and I have to ask them, "Excuse me, can we please get back to what we were talking about, the prices and the lead time?" So you have to have your agenda printed on your mind or printed physically so you can stick to it. Then you have to be a good listener, and it doesn't only mean if you are going to be buying something and your supplier is talking to you. It also means if you are doing a sale and you're talking to a client. If you are selling, it is most likely that you're going to be the one speaking. But you have to be a good listener, not just by listening, but also by looking at the other person, the face expressions that they make. Maybe if you talk about the price and you say, let's say this pen, it is 10, let's say $10. So you see that your client says it is like, you are going to be a good listener and you're going to know that maybe it is too expensive. So maybe if you say the pen, it is $2 per pen, and they are like, so it means that you being a good listener, you're going to notice that it means that they really find it a really nice price, or maybe a really cheap price. So you have to be a good listener in order to try to pick some information from facial expressions if they are not talking to you. Then write and record decisions. In this case, if you are able to have let's say, a little notebook, and you're able to write the decisions that you made, or maybe a specific information that you need to remember later, try to write it. If you're able to record, it is better. But remember, if you are going to record a meeting, you have to ask to the other person, are you okay with me recording this meeting? They usually will tell you yes, there's no problem. But you, even though you know that the other person, your counterpart is your friend, or they are really nice, even though they are friend, or even though they are friendly, or they are a friend, you have to ask for their permission in order to record. Okay, so we don't get in problems. Then you have to keep track on time. Why? Because time is money. So if you have 30 minutes for a meeting, you have to keep the track on time, because maybe after your 30 minutes, your counterpart has another negotiation. So maybe you didn't keep track on the time, and you are past your 30 minutes, and you're going just to talk about prices, and they are going to tell you, hey, I'm sorry, but I have another meeting, I have to go. And you went there and you had a meeting for nap, right? So you have to keep track on your time. At the end, you have to summarize. You have to make a little summarize about everything that you talked before, and everything and every decision that you make together. So all parts, I agree, are agree. So in this case, it makes the last part that says, make sure that everyone agrees with what you have decided together. Finally, when a negotiation, what are you going to do when you are making, wait, okay. So what are you going to do when you are making negotiation with suppliers in this case? Okay, so what are you going to do when you're in negotiation with suppliers? In this case, you have to approach positively without revealing your position. In this case, if I know that I want to go there and try to sell to the highest price, or to buy on the lowest price, even though I know that I have maybe a better position, that I have more power to move the situation in order to my benefit. Even though that, I have to go positive, but not so happy, because there I might be revealing my position. So I have to go like first positive, with a positive attitude, but not revealing what I'm intended, or what I intend to get from the negotiation at the end. Then you don't have to reveal your concessions or compromises too early. It means, for example, I know that I'm going to be selling pens. I know that I want to sell pens, 100 pens at what, $100, but I know that I can sell them to $90, 100 pens for $90. I don't have to go and really, really early in the negotiation say, hey, okay, just buy them from 90. No, I have to keep my compromise or my concessions to myself, because maybe I can get the $100 for the 100 pence, but because I spoke too much beforehand, I'm going to lose those 10 extra dollars. So I have to be smart. Then use bargaining chips. It means what you are prepared to give up. For example, I can say, I'm going to sell you 100 pence at $100, and they say, no, I don't feel comfortable enough with that, because it is too much money. But maybe, and they want, maybe, let's say, they want a lead time of 1 week. they want you to send the product in 1 week. So maybe my bargaining chip, it could be, okay, I'm gonna give you the 100 pens at $90, but I'm going to be ready to give up that 10 extra dollars, but I'm not going to send you the product in 1 week. I'm going to send you the product in 2 weeks. So you have to know which are the details that you are able to play with, right? Then push for a starting price and detailed discounts. It means if you're going to buy to a supplier, let's say a pen, you have to ask for a price as early on the meeting as possible. If I know that my supplier send pens, I'm going to ask him, what's the price? Because maybe they're going to try to extend telling me the price until the end for me to try to sell it at the highest point, at the highest price. So I have to ask really early, which is the price and how much discount can you give me? So maybe I can ask first, which is the price, and they're going to be telling me maybe $1 for one pen, and then I can ask them, which discounts do you give me if I buy you 100? So I have to be, me as a buyer, I have to be as direct as possible. Then, if you make any concessions on compromises, you have to write them as soon as you make the compromises or concessions, so you are at the end when you summarize, you can let everybody know what you decided and agree. Okay. Then, if you are comfortable or happy, don't let pressures force you. Why? Because there are some suppliers that are going to tell you, hey, I'm able to sell to you this $100 and $90, 100 pence for $90. But if you tell me that you're going to buy from me right now, but maybe my sixth sense, mi sexto sentido, is telling me that maybe that's not feeling nice. So maybe if I'm not comfortable or happy, just don't let these kind of pressures as deadlines or maybe consultations to pressure me, because maybe I know that I don't feel comfortable because maybe I can find the product to a more cheaper price, right? So don't let your supplier pressure you if you are not comfortable enough. And then research the prices. If you know that you are going to be, in this case, like we saw earlier in the car, if I know that I'm going to be meeting with James and he's going to sell me $100, I have to research right now how much does he sell a pen? Does he sell it for $1? So maybe when we go to the meeting, he's going to tell me, I'm going to sell you one pen for $2, but since you are very nice, if you buy me more than 1,000 units, I can sell the product to $1 each. So I'm going to know, hey, he usually sells for $1, so he is not being honest with me. So I have to do a research about the prices. Then what you have to do when you're closing a negotiation. In this case, if you're stuck, if you are not making any kind of decisions, take a break. Let your supplier or your client know that you are stuck on the negotiation and you're not making any kind of progress. So let's take a break. Are you comfortable taking a 10-minute break? So maybe you can go fresh up, go to the bathroom or something, so you can come back with a clear mind and you can continue negotiation. Then you can ask if the negotiation is stuck. You can ask the other person, what is holding you back? Maybe you think the price is not good, the quality is not good. Let me know where are you thinking about, why you don't buy or why you don't make me a discount. Ask. It is okay to ask. As long as you ask politely, it is okay. Then you have to ask what they are willing to give up and what they are willing to want in return. In this case, for example, again with the pen example, what are you willing to give up? Maybe you are going to give up, you're not going to sell me the pen $1 each pen, but maybe you're going to sell me 90 cents each pen, but in this case you're willing to give up that 10 cents, but what do you want in return? Let me know. So maybe he can say to you, or she can say to you, I'm going to give you the 90 cents per pen, but I want you to pay me all in advance. So you know that maybe you are not comfortable or you are not able to do that. So maybe you can say, hey, I'm not able, so just let's keep it on $1, so you don't waste time. Then at the end, ask each party, in this case, each part of the negotiation that are in the negotiation team, if they are happy. You can ask them, I would like you to know, I would like to know if you are happy with the solution that we made, or if you are pleased with the solution given. So they can say to you, yes, I'm really happy, or maybe they can say to you, no, I'm not really happy, so I don't think we're going to sign a contract at the end. So it is okay to ask. And finally, if you do both both parties are happy with the solutions that were given, you are allowed to close and emphasize that you are happy. You can, for example, say we both gave up and received things in return. However, I am really pleased that we have come to an agreement, that both parts are really happy with the decisions, and I hope that we continue to make this business relationship strong for the future. So they know that maybe they feel a little sad because they gave up something, but they know that they are going to know by this, but this you speaking that you also gave up, so it was a win-win, right? So it is okay to say this. And finally, what happens if a negotiation ended on a bad note? Have you ever had this situation in a negotiation? ¿Alguna vez has tenido este problema? ¿Alguna vez tu negociación no ha terminado bien? ¿Tuviste una negociación que no terminó bien, que no terminó en buenos términos? So, what happened if I had a negotiation and it ended on a bad note, and I'm going to maybe get with the supplier or client, get together again for another negotiation in 2 weeks? And now it's 2 weeks past, and I'm getting to meet again with my supplier on my negotiation, that on my supplier or client, that 2 weeks prior we had a bad ending negotiation. So what do I have to do? In this case, first of all, I have to go to the room with a good energy. Maybe the person that you were talking to was not polite. At the end, he got the emotions take over him, and he maybe wasn't so nice to you. So even though that happened, you have to go with a good energy, and you have to let them know that it is business, that both are persons that have feelings and that make mistakes. So you just go to a good energy, but always be polite, because if you are polite, it is most likely that the other person is going to be polite to you, right? If you go with a bad attitude, like you are a gangster or something like that, the other person is going to be with their emotions and their way of talking to you and their attitude with the same. They are going to be aggressive to you. So in this case, go enter the room with a good energy, with a nice energy, a relaxed energy, and be polite when you meet again. Make eye contact with the person that you're going to talk to. Maybe you had a disagreement with the person. Maybe you had it is not likely that you're going to have a physical fight, but maybe a verbal discussion with the person. So make eye contact with this person. I greet every person in the room individually. I'm very respectful and with a smile on your face. Maybe if you don't feel comfortable to make a really nice smile, maybe you can just use a subtle smile. Una sonrisa sutil, right? Then, if you were the person that behaved bad on the last negotiation that you had and you have to apologize, do it. Apologize if needed. If you were the person that didn't talk right and or let the emotions get over you, tell the other person, hey, I'm sorry. I know that I let my emotions take over me last time we met. So I'm going to tell you that I'm deeply sorry. I want us to make a nice, professional negotiation and be able to sign a contract at the end. Just apologize. Sometimes we are not going to be the person that maybe made a bad decisions, but we will have to apologize anyway, just to clear the air, right? So if it is needed, apologize with the person. And finally, don't let your emotions take over you. I myself, I have never let my emotions take over me during a business negotiation, but I have seen some people that let the emotions take over them when they were negotiation, when they were negotiating. So, for example, I used to work with a really uh, middle-aged man in his 50s, let's say, and he, as an older person, had a really hard um, temper. So he was, as we say in Spanish, fosforito. So anything you said to him, he didn't took anything in a good way. He always took it in a bad way. So we had a negotiation with a client, and the client tried to make us give him a really high discount that it was out of way to ask. So he got upset, and the manager that I'm telling you about, he just said, how can you ask me that? Are you kidding me? It means that you think that my product is garbage. So the negotiation ended there because he didn't want to talk to the client anymore. But then when we meet later, we had to apologize. I had to apologize because it wasn't just, there was not um any kind of point to keep having a bad relationship with the client, because the client was a strong client. He was going to be able, it was a big company that he was going to be making really, really high and huge uh, buys, huge orders from us. So I apologized. I greeted him. I made eye contact. I went into with a good energy. And when the middle-aged guy came in, that he was from my team, he did the same because we advised him to do the same thing. But as we were talking, the client asked again for a discount. So with I with a corner of my eye, I look at him, and he was just like his blood was starting to boil again. So I just quietly turned to him and say to him, "Hey, try to relax because he's a buyer. He of course will want a discount. He's entitled to ask for a discount. It is for us to say, just no, we are not able to give you that discount. Yes, it was embarrassing." So I just say, relax your face because you look angry. Relax your face. Take a deep breath and talk back to him kindly, because it is not going to it is not going to take us anywhere. We're going to lose the client. Are we going to be the ones that are going to lose because he is a big client? If we are able to get him on our client list, it's going to be a huge home run, right? So he did that. So in this case, if you're in the same embarrassing situation as I'm telling you, tell the person, hey, relax your face, you look angry, and take a deep breath. Sometimes the person is not going to listen to you, so maybe you can say, hey, take a deep breath, and you can take the deep breath with them. So you can say, so they do the same. Okay? And then ask them, to talk kindly. So you just turn back to your negotiation and you start talking kindly. So the person next to you, the person that is on your team, is going to repeat your behavior, right? So those are things that you can do when your emotions are taking over you, or you see that the person next to you that is on your team is their emotions are taking over them. Also, you can do that if your supplier or your client is getting his emotions or her emotions taking over them. So you can do that with your counterpart. It is okay. That's all for today. I want to thank you for being here. I hope that you had learned more about the process of conducting negotiations, and I will see you next time. I think we have our next meeting on the next Monday, so I will see you then. Okay? Okay, guys. So take care. Have a nice week, and I will see you next week. Okay? Que tengan bonita semana y ya los estaré viendo la otra semana. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye bye.